This is the most horrifying documentary that Netflix has ever aired.
1 minute! She shot her.
The N-word meant that you were just being dirty.
Hello, you gorgeous donuts. What happens when a quiet suburban neighborhood dispute in America turns into one of the worst tragedies in modern times? When a woman is killed through a locked front door in the name of self-defense, however, she's done nothing wrong. Well, that is the exact real-life situation that is explored in the documentary, The Perfect Neighbor, that Netflix have just aired. Now, it's important to note that this isn't your standard Netflix documentary where they have talking heads, people basically talking about the situation after it's happened, like reflecting on it. This entire documentary was actually made by a woman called Geeta Gandbhir, and the way she directed this is by using the body cam footage from the actual situation, so there's no narration. The entire storyline is played out by the body cam footage, which just makes it so much more authentic and it really grips you in from the start. In this video, we're going to cover the entire documentary. We're going to explore how this situation even came about in the first place. We're going to explore the entire timeline and if it could have been prevented, leading to the fatal incident. The chilling aftermath of what happened once the person was killed. Who this perfect neighbor is. We're also going to cover the exact moment that the mask slipped on the person responsible for the murder. And at the end of this video, we actually get to see footage from the actual court case that settled this entire situation for good. Get comfy because honestly, this one is wild. So the documentary kicks off with us hearing a 911 call of a woman in a neighborhood who is calling the police on her neighbors because apparently there's antisocial behavior. Now, when the police turn up to actually find out what has happened, her explanation for the antisocial behavior is that their dog keeps pooping everywhere. And apparently when this person confronted the dog owner about, their dog pooping everywhere, they then got hit in the leg. So instantly you're kind of like, what is going on here? Like, is this really a serious accusation you're making? Did you really need the police to phone call about a dog shitting on the street? I'm pretty sure the police has better things to do with their time, than sort this out. I doubt they're going to, pick the poop up from the street and, take it into forensics to find out if it actually left this dog's arsehole. I think they'd be doing a bit too much there, personally. The police then go over to the woman that is accused of doing this antisocial behaviour, and she says that she's never been on the other side of the road and tormented this woman or had a dog poop on her lawn or anything. She does say that this woman keeps telling her kids off for playing on the field that's next to her house. Now, it is important to know that this field isn't her property, the woman that's complaining about it. She just doesn't like them playing there, even though it's a public field. There's also a neighbour who lives on the other side of this field who says, that's not my property, the kids can't play there. It just proves that, the kids are allowed to be there, basically, which becomes so important later in the story. The person accused of hitting this woman in the leg then actually says that every single time the kids play next to her house, she'll say the worst of the worst things to them.
Oh, you black people always this. Okay, all right, whatever. That doesn't move me.
So straight away, you get this image that the woman who called the police is a racist. Obviously, the language she's using there basically confirms that. Now, this person who was talking to the police is known as AJ by her friends, and she also denies ever hitting this woman. Apparently, she picked up a sign and hit her in the leg, but she says she never actually did this. She says that she picked up a sign and threw it away, but then the woman claimed that this woman actually tried to attack her with it. It's all kind of hearsay at this moment, as there's no clear evidence what the actual story is. But one thing that is clear is the woman police officer that is dealing with this is very empathetic to this woman AJ. She's listening to her, she's hearing her out, whereas the male police officer seems to kind of be on the side of the neighbour that rang the police. And after chatting for about 10 minutes, the police then leave, and then we get a bit of a character profile on this AJ, people talking about her. She's a manager at McDonald's, and people say that she does everything for her kids. She basically is such a good mother. She gives up loads so that her kids can have a great life. Apparently her kids go to private school because of how much she's sacrificed for them. We then hear audio from some of AJ's friends, and apparently AJ would say, oh, there's this neighbour across the street that hates us. She keeps trying to attack attack us. She keeps trying to like ring the police on my children. Like she basically just wants us gone. And as the doc is revealing more information, you can sense there's a lot of tension here. Like very clearly there's a huge dispute in this neighborhood, but we don't really know why at this point. The doc then progresses to August the 10th, 2022, and the same neighbor that rang the police back in February has rang the police again to complain. And it's the same complaint again about the children just playing in the street. The police come and again they don't really do anything, and then a few months later this same woman rings the police again about the kids playing in the street.
Take it anywhere. I call the kids retards. Then the mother comes screaming at me, I'm going to put you in a nursing home. Is there anything I can do with these people?
Sorry, obviously I'm not going to repeat that word, but you called some children that word. And you're ringing the police on them. You're ringing the police because their mother, after what you called them, has responded by saying, I'm going to put you into a care home. And that's where it's got too far. What? You can't just go around calling kids that because they're playing in the street on the field? And instantly, I get the vibe that this woman is very lonely because it seems like her, she has like too close of a relationship with the police in her own head. She almost rings the police like people just like ring their nana or something. Honestly, I believe she would ring the police if she like burnt a toast. So the police turn up at her house again and they ask her like, what is going on here?
The children screaming their full heads off, running around.
What? So you're ringing the police because children are shouting? Like just running around and having fun? Oh yeah, look up the key, love. Throws away. What do you want them to do? Just walk around being miserable? Can you imagine just playing football with your friends and you're not allowed to like make any noise, otherwise, the neighbour's gonna call the police. You're not even allowed to smile. I am trying to see this from this woman's point of view, and honestly, it just seems like she's so miserable and just really, kind of, I'm trying to work out if she's envious of the mother across the road, that she has, some, like, kids, and she has, like, a little family, and we never see anybody in this woman's house apart from her. Like, she kind of seems like she's by herself a lot of the time. At this point, we haven't got much information, so you're kind of trying to, like, work out why she constantly feels the need to call the police over such minor details.
They know they're not supposed to be over here. They control tells me to shut up to my face. I said, don't be disrespectful.
Oh, so you're taking the moral high ground now. You called a kid the R words and they told you to shut up, and you're like, whoa, come on, that's a bit foreign. Well, let's like keep this clean. All right, children. Not trying to be disrespectful or nothing. After this, the sheriffs then walk across the road to the children, who are all kind of just standing there, and, straight off the bat, they seem like really nice kids. They don't seem like they would cause much issues. They kind of just seem like really friendly. They don't seem like little shits, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And when they're questioned, like individually and in little groups about, like, are you disturbing this woman? They say, no, we're not. Like, this woman comes over to us. She calls us, like, slurs. She calls us, like, really bad names. And apparently she's always really volatile to them. Now, this isn't the story that we hear from Susan, who is the woman who keeps calling the police. We've got her name now. We then see AJ talk to the police, and she actually tells them that recently she's walked over to Susan's house with her son to talk it out, but apparently Susan was very confrontational and didn't want to speak to her. AJ also says that apparently Susan will like sound the alarm of her car and blame the kids, even though the kids aren't even near the car. Apparently they did this little social experiment where all of the kids kind of stayed away from the car and the car alarm went off and Susan came off blaming the kids, but they'd like preempt it so that they knew it wasn't the kids' fault. So at this point, the doc is very much painting the picture that Susan is almost trying to set these kids up to catch them in the act of being naughty, so she has an excuse to kind of call the police, because clearly she wants something to happen to these children at this point. She's not happy with the police just going away and nothing happening. Can you imagine having a war with children, by the way? Like, fair enough if they're coming up to your house and trying to smash your windows in, or like knocking on your windows or egging your house, then you've got a point. But when they're just playing in the grass, just having fun, that is her reasoning for calling the police. They're having too much fun. Now at this point, things do seem alarming, but later on in this documentary, they escalate so much worse. Now, after speaking to AJ and the children, the sheriffs actually walk back to Susan's house and they say to her, look, this piece of land that's next to your house, you don't own it. Like, you can't dictate who goes on there or who plays on there. That is not not your piece of land. Like, within your walls, that's yours. That's public access. And the neighbour across from the field, like I mentioned earlier, agrees with this. He doesn't claim to own this part of the field because he knows it's not his. Now, because Susan isn't getting the outcome that she wants from these police calls, she actually starts snitching more on AJ, that apparent bad things that she's been doing in the street.
What about her threat that she's going to come and drag my ass and beat me?
The kids said you were coming at them in an aggressive manner and they thought that you were going to hurt him.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Now, very clearly, like, Susan is wanting something here. I don't know exactly what at this point, but she's wanting something to happen. Whether it's the kids get locked up, whether it's, AJ gets some punishment, whether, everyone else moves out the street and she gets the whole street to herself. She wants something. And she's trying to paint this picture out as if she's kind of like a vulnerable old lady and everyone else is the mean person. However, we actually hear some stories from some of the residents that live around her about some of her actions that she does when the police aren't there, such as she will like rev her truck down the street, have the window down and just scream, "Ah!" I don't know why. If someone was doing that in my street, I think I would be the one to call 911. Well, 999 over here, I don't think they'll really get here quick. If I did call 911, they'd probably be like, "Why are you fucking ringing me for? I gotta do out. 2 secs, mate, I'll be 8 hours on a flight." She would also like blow a horn that was really loud outside of her front door. Now, in my opinion, I would possibly call this antisocial behaviour, especially since we're calling kids playing in the street antisocial behaviour. I feel like that's a little bit worse in my opinion, just a little bit. The doc then progresses about 6 months later to March 2023, and we get this weird kind of side quest that Susan has apparently done, where she was on the inside of a locked gate somehow. Like, we don't really get the full story how she got into the gate, but she'd actually rammed the gate to leave there, and the person that owned this place had phoned the police to kind of be like, "Look, this person is for some reason trying to ram the gate from the inside." And they had it on CCTV that it was the exact same truck as what Susan has, the registration and everything. Now, obviously the police like know this truck because they go to her house all the time, so they go back to her house again to explore what's went on here and hear Susan's side if she actually did this. But when they knock on her door this time, she doesn't answer, so they have to like knock on the window and they get a fright when they see her.
1 minute!
Jeez.
Fucking hell. Well, why didn't you just answer the front door, love? I mean, it's a little house. You were basically there. I love how the sheriff even shut himself. He was like, "Jeez, love, calm down. Right, I'm not in the wrong here." But it's interesting how every single time she calls the police, like, they don't even need to knock. She's already at the front door. Yet when someone has called the police on her, she doesn't answer the door. The officer then asks her, like, "Where were you at this exact time? We've got you on CCTV footage." She's like, "I've been in the house all day." And when the officer's like pressing her more for like an honest answer, she eventually says, "Oh, sorry, I lied. I panicked. I don't know why I said that." She tries to blame her lying on her medication. And this is so important. It might seem a bit like off from the actual like situation that's going on in our street, but it shows that she can be, untruthful. Is that a word? Untruthful? It is now. But it shows that she can bend the truth to fit how she wants it. And this is so crucial that this has been shown in the documentary, because at this point in the documentary, you haven't really seen her get caught out with any of the lies. So this is like the first time you see this. So you know it's a possibility moving forward. And after this crucial point in the doc, we then get a better character profile of Susan. Like, we hear some of the words that she would say to the children. Obviously we know the R word, but she would use like other racial slurs towards them. Really, really horrific language. And every single time we see her on the body cam footage after this, it becomes a lot more harrowing. We're starting to see that this person is a really evil person the more that we're shown of her. Now at this point, if you're Susan, you're probably thinking, okay, I kind of want to have minimal contact with the police after the incident that's just went down there. However, the very next month, she calls the police again on the kids because apparently the kids are trying to put a dog in the trunk of a car. Fuck knows. Is that like a prank kids do these days? Oh yeah, I'm going to put my dog in the back of this car because that'll be mint. The police then turn up again and they ask around the street, like, has anyone seen anything? And this guy says, like, it would be an impossibility for this small child that she believes has put the dog in her car because the dog's bigger than the child. Like, the child wouldn't be able to pick up the dog in the first place. Susan herself actually took a photo of one of the children to, like, be, like, evidence or something, but it's literally just the child standing in the street. Like, there's no evidence of anything. The only evidence it shows is that this child is real, but we can see that with our 2 eyes. And you can tell at this point the officers are getting really sick of coming to this address. They actually tell Susan to her face, stop ringing us if it's about this, like, we're sick of coming here. She's basically abusing the phone line at this point, you know, like, what else does she think's gonna happen? Like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Like, the police aren't gonna lock these kids up for playing. Like, what world is this? Now, you can tell at this point, Susan definitely feels like she's exhausted the options of ringing the police. So the next month, she actually takes a trip down to the station herself to talk about the kids again in the street. And she's really ramping up the pressure on the police department at this point. She's demanding that the children get put in prison. Like, what? For playing? Like, oh, what are you in for, mate? Oh, I'm in this youth offenders thing because I just scream in the street when I'm playing. Something I really need to work on, you know. Hopefully 6 months in here, I'll just stop that for us. Have a little bit of quiet time, you know, charge up again. And again, the weirdest thing is she has no evidence of the kids doing anything wrong. So she actually thinks that these kids can get locked up because of what she says. She honestly just thinks the police will believe her. Donuts, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the taste of energy drinks and fizzy drinks. Lock me up. Throw away the key. But one thing I hate about those drinks is how much sugar they contain, and that is why I have switched to Holy. Now, since we worked with them previously, it's all I've been drinking whenever I've wanted the taste of a fizzy drink. Honestly, it's unreal. Like, from the first batch that I had, we've got none left. Me and Chloe have absolutely rinsed them. For the people that don't know about Holy, they're basically a clean, healthier alternative to sugar-packed energy and fizzy drinks. They do a range of powder-based soft drinks, so basically you just put the powder in the water and then you're sorted. These soft drinks include hydration drinks, energy drinks, even iced tea. All with 0 sugar, which is the best part. 0 bullshit, man. Alright, sick of it! All made with natural flavours as well. My initial favourite flavour was the wild berry, but taking the top spot right now is definitely sour cherry. Unbelievable stuff, man. Whereas Chloe is like obsessed with the iced tea ones, like she takes them all to work every single day. So Holy, please keep partnering with this channel, otherwise my girlfriend's going to leave me. For you, I would recommend getting the Starter Set Deluxe Pack, as this gives you a variety of the energy, hydration and iced tea flavours. You can also choose between a black shaker or a metal thermo shaker. I really like mine. Okay, look at that, blue and white. I mean, you know, it's not easy to lose, is it? It's so bright. It's almost as bright as the Star of Nazareth. And if you do like one flavour more than the others, you can then go on to buy a tub of that, which are great value for money, as some of the bigger tubs have 50 servings in them. And I believe that works out to around 80 pence per 500ml serving, so it's good value for money. Now, if you get the Starter Set Deluxe today and use this code CAM5, it will give you £5 off your first order, or use CAM for 10% off, right? Either way, right? Whatever floats your boat, whatever you're feeling when you check out. Link is in the description and also the pinned comment. Honestly, get it, you will not regret it. It is lush. Thank you to Holy for sponsoring this. Now, from this point, the doc actually gets darker and darker and darker. The first sign of this is where one of the children is talking about how Susan actually pulled a gun up in front of him and like it was intimidating the children with it.
We were just playing over there, and then she was waving her gun, and Isaac and all of them were like, run, and we were hiding behind this car right here.
Now again, this is obviously an intimidation tactic. She's obviously just saying like, look, if you keep doing this, right, I'm gonna come out to play, you know? Which again is just an insane thing to do. And imagine being a parent of one of these children. Like, imagine your kid is playing out in the street and you hear from one of them that a neighbour's pulled a gun out in front of them. Even if they haven't, you know, kind of aimed it at them, they've still showed them a gun. Like, you wouldn't want any child to ever see that, especially from one of your own neighbours in your own street where they're meant to be the safest they can be. The doc then progresses to June the 2nd, which is 2 weeks later from the gun incident. And we actually see video footage that was took on Susan's phone where I don't know if she's trying to get like evidence of the kids playing on the field or something. Like you see here, they're not doing anything at all. Like, they weren't even looking at her before she started recording. Like, this is clearly why she's calling the police. Like, this is what she thinks is really bad. This is why she's trying to get it on video. So this is what she wants these little children locked up for. I don't even know what they're playing, just some sort of random game. Now, I know, like, children in the street can be, like, especially if they're screaming all the time. Like, if you don't like kids, I can imagine that can grate on you. But the fact that you think they should be locked up for that is pretty insane. They're kids. It's just what kids do. Now, after this video was actually taken, apparently Susan then tried to throw roller skates off the children children, and also pulled that umbrella out and was using it like a sword to try and hit them. Two of the weirdest weapons to choose from, you know, roller skate and an umbrella. Definitely trying to like use our surroundings to our advantage, I guess. But this woman is very clearly quite conniving, and she's sly. Like she doesn't like kind of let herself out to be exposed a lot of the time. So the reason why I believe that she chose those is because if the neighbours called the police on her and they had to say like she's hitting people with an umbrella and roller skates, they're going to sound a bit silly, because you're going to be like, surely that's not actually happening. Like, what? That's so stupid. So all of these things that she's doing, in my opinion, are very on purpose. Now, you would think at this point the person that would ring the police would be, you know, some of the parents in the neighbourhood whose children are getting threatened with objects. However, right after this, the person that rings the police is Susan, and her reasoning for this is because the kids are leaving their toys out in the street. And also apparently they're taunting her, but from the video we've seen they're not really taunting her, they're just like responding to her videoing them. I do think it's hilarious that she's rang the police, you know, because of toys in the street. Like in my street, like kids leave their bikes, and I just can't imagine going, hello, yeah, is this 999, yeah, there's a bike on the street, and it's got 4 stunt pigs. Nearly just killed myself. You gonna do something about this, are you? Right, you better get here pronto, son. I don't want to see any child getting backers on this. Just weird. Like, what are you doing? Some of the language she's using in this to the police is like over dramatising it so much.
I'm fearing for my life. I'm very scared.
You're fearing for your life. You're very scared because a child did this when you filmed him. Oh yeah, that's fucking scary, that, love. Honestly. Right, don't turn your back to him. Don't know what he's capable of. Now, there's also a part in this story where apparently Susan stole the iPad from one of the children and she was keeping it away from the child. Now, again, put yourself in the shoes of the mother of the child's iPad that's been stolen by a neighbour. Like, you clearly bought that. You're going to be fuming that another adult has taken this. So AJ, the mother of the child whose iPad it is, storms over to Susan's house to obviously confront her about this. Like, why are you stealing the iPad? She's doing the right thing. She's standing up for a child and kind of saying to her child, like, it doesn't matter how old somebody is, you shouldn't let someone bully or take your things. Now, apparently she was banging on Susan's door, and then all of a sudden, all of the neighbours in the street heard a bang. Now, I've already, watched this clip, and watching it again, I feel the exact same emotions. Like, instantly you just get like a chill down your whole body. Like, I kind of feel myself welling up a little bit, because like, this is a child who believes that his mother's just been shot over an iPad. You know, this child right now's life has turned upside down because of this. The wildest thing about this documentary is they really show you everything. Like, they show you the entire discourse, what happened after this bang went off. Like, some of the audio honestly made me cry. Like, you hear the children saying, oh my God, my mom's on the floor, and there's so much screaming, and it's just so sad. Like, the footage is so real and so raw that I don't actually think I can put it on YouTube. You'd have to see it for yourself on Netflix. Now, whilst everyone is freaking out in the street, obviously if you hear a gunshot, if you're one of the neighbours, you are going to ring the police. However, again, it's not the neighbours who rings the police, it's Susan.
I'm asking me several times because of her children. Her children keep trespassing. They won't fucking stop.
Now, I find this phone call very interesting, and on first listen to it, like, I'd kind of made my mind up. She says she's hyperventilating and she's kind of making out as if, she's did this in panic, like she feared for her life. However, like, her hyperventilating stopped once she started talking about the children and how much she hated them and how much, like, she just wanted this to stop. She was fine. So it's almost like a switch. She went from being worried to, oh yeah, I'm talking consciously now, I'm referring back to past experiences. Do you know what I mean? It just seems so off to me, and straight away I was like, this is an act. When someone is in a state of, hyperventilating, they can't just turn it off like that, Like, it's like anxiety is taking over your body at that point. You can't even speak because you're just so, overwhelmed with what you're feeling. You can't just be like, actually, I'm actually all right now. I'm sound like right now. Like, that was just like 2 seconds ago. Now I'm okay. Ask me anything. I could go on the chase and answer about 5 questions now.
And then I told him to take the crap away, get the fuck out of here.
Like, you can hear that is anger. That is not worry. You can hear like the raw anger in her voice, which obviously, we'll find out later in this documentary, which is the main factor to this case. Did she actually shoot this gun out of anger or out of, worry? Because that is what is crucial to her, possibly getting sentenced. Now, after this, the body cam footage is basically uncut. It shows the officers, arriving at the scene. We actually see AJ, who is the mother, on the floor. It's not blurred. You see everything. And honestly, I felt like tears were coming down my face when I was watching this, because I was like, oh my God, this is so raw. And it's so much more impactful than other Netflix documentaries that they've released. You can tell that they haven't produced this one. You can tell they've just bought the rights to it, because this has so much more emotion in it. Now, I might be misreading this, but she doesn't even seem like she's that close to the house. Like, the way that Susan made it out was as if she was basically like inside the house, banging on the door, banging on the windows, like doing anything to get in. That was how Susan made it out to be. But where AJ, is on the floor, that isn't the case. There's quite a distance from her and the house. And as soon as I seen her on the floor there, and I definitely think I'm looking at this with hindsight, I did think like the police had many opportunities to, I don't know how they could put an end to it, but that's their job, to figure this out, because every single time they came, they just kind of swept it under the carpet as if like, this'll be all right, this'll sort itself out. Now, obviously, I don't think anybody knew that this would be the outcome of it, but hopefully in future occasions, many other police stations and forces can kind of learn from this and kind of de-escalate it before anything like this ever happens. So the police kind of see the body. They then walk over the road to talk to Izzy, who is the son of AJ, who got shot. What happened, as he's the primary witness. He's the person that iPad got stolen.
I said put down my tablet.
The lady in apartment 3?
Yes, and so I got my mother. She kept on banging on the door. She shot her.
And you can see that is the raw truth there. Like this child is feeling emotions that no child should ever have to feel right now. He's not going to be thinking about how can I frame this in a certain way. This is just a child being pure, just telling the exact story as it happened. And you can see how obviously this is one of the worst things that can happen, especially to a young child who's still developing in their life. Like, even when this happens to adults, when their parents are old aged, still so hard. But for your mother to be with you and then not with you 1 second over something as minor as this, like, I can't imagine that feeling for Izzy and the other children. Father of these children, who I don't actually believe live with AJ, then turns up as he's called to come over to look after the children, obviously. And one of the first things we see from him is the sheriff kind of take him to one side. Now, we don't hear the audio, but it's very clear to make out what he basically says to him. Right, this is I think this might be the most horrifying thing that we've definitely covered on this channel. This is I can feel myself going again. I'm not laughing, I'm uncomfortable, if I'm being honest, that I'm going to start crying. Clearly he's just been told there that the mother of his children has been pronounced dead at the scene, and now he has a really difficult kind of what's the word, like a decision to make of how he's going to tell his children about what's happened, because obviously they've probably got a good idea of what went down here so far. They've kind of been cushioned and told, your mom's going to the hospital, they've got like the experts are going to work on her. He now needs to deliver the news that is going to change their lives forever, and I can't imagine what it must be like to be in that position. And like I said, this documentary is so raw, as the body cam footage just shows him telling the kids for the first time,
Mom's not coming back anymore. Mom, no, don't listen to me. No, I know.
I feel like I'm repeating myself, but genuinely, like, I can't even put into words how this makes you feel. Like, this is my second time, watching this, and still it's so hard to just witness, because you can see the love that these children obviously have for their mother. Like, one of the children nearly fainted there. He couldn't even, like, believe, like, he just can't process what's happened, how quick it was, how, like, possibly 10 minutes prior to this, they probably were watching telly, and now, that they can never watch telly with each other ever again. It's just one of the saddest things that I've ever seen happen in real time. And one thing I do want to give credit to is the father here, because, the way he delivered it was obviously very raw, and, there's no good way to deliver this, but you can tell he's staying strong for the kids. Like, he will be feeling so distraught and, processing the trauma in his own way. But right now, it's important for him to be strong for the children, because they're not strong enough to deal with this as their kids. And after this, we start to see some of the neighbours, and you can really see how much, love these neighbours had for AJ, because people are screaming, people are crying their eyes out. Like, she was very clearly like such a well-liked person within the community. And one thing I have to say is, if everyone likes each other and there's one person who is disliked by everyone, chances are that one person is the prick. Like, straight away. If everyone else can't be wrong, basically. Everyone else can't be the prick. It has to be this one. Especially when some of the neighbours don't even speak to each other, but they, kind of know that this woman is a knobhead. We then get a little line from one of the neighbours who says this was all over football. Now, obviously referring to the kids playing football on the field next to her house, which apparently pisses Susan off. And this is what makes this situation, like, so much worse, is how little it took to get here. Like, I know the timeline was so long with the multiple police cause, but the actual core of why this started to where we've got now is frightening. We then see Susan getting taken away by the police, and it's important to note at this point she isn't actually arrested. They just ask her to come to the station. Straight away she seems like kind of calm, and she's kind of just explaining the situation, how she thinks it went down. And in my opinion, this is very clearly like a pre-prepared story, the way she's telling it. Just quickly, donuts, if you haven't already, please do consider pressing the subscribe button. You'll have videos like this to binge watch when you're bored. We're also on the hunt for 1 million donuts on this channel, so if everyone watching this press subscribed, would probably hit it, I reckon would hit it. So go and do it. Make it happen.
They're like, guys, you're trespassing. Come on, go out of here. And they were like, I'm going to tell my mom. I'm like, go tell your mom. I don't care.
Have you had problems with him before?
Oh my God, yes.
Now, straight away, her demeanour, she doesn't seem like she's just shot someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know everyone would react different to this, especially if people have experience, handling a weapon and stuff like that. But, if I had done this, I feel like I'd be shaken. And I'd just be like so, in a frenzy and like a panic. It just like what has just went down there. I don't even know if I'd be able to speak. She almost seems like she's just been on like a 7-day kind of cruise and is just dead chill. Like, I don't think this woman has ever had lower blood pressure than what she's got right now.
And then she started banging so hard, everything started shaking. And then she, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And she's just banging away.
Now you can see she's got this story of, AJ being aggressive, being just like loud, being, violent. And she's the chill one. She's the one keeping her cool. She's the one that's thinking logically over emotionally. That's what she's trying to say to the officers here.
I don't even actually remember picking up the gun. I just remember shooting.
How long do you think she was hitting the door?
Oh, I can't even speculate.
Now that is very interesting because, she kind of recalls the entire situation very, like, strategically. Like, she knows everything. However, she doesn't know the exact time frame from, when she shot the weapon and that kind of stuff. Like, I imagine she's probably feeling, very, very hyped. But how can you can recollect everything else, but you can't recollect this? This becomes very important later on, which is why I'm bringing it up. But again, there's no mention of like an iPad, that she stole this iPad and the reason why AJ was actually coming to our house in the first place.
They keep leaving all their toys around. The other day I almost killed myself, and I didn't see the roller skate and I almost killed myself. I'm like, guys.
You would use those words, would you? Really? Like, a roller skate was on the floor and your life flashed before your eyes. I think that's a you problem, love, personally. Like, if you actually died because you stepped on a roller skate, I feel like that's with you. Personally, like, I don't feel like people should mourn you. I'd be like, well, she kind of had it coming. If you were going to die from a roller skate, you didn't really have much time left, did you? It's a constant theme with this Susan, how much she kind of amplifies things to be much bigger than what they actually are. Like, chances are there was a roller skate that was on the grass and she probably didn't even trip over it, but she's just made it out to be like this thing that has just ruined her entire day. Bearing in mind, she showed a gun to a child, which doesn't seem to be that kind of mental to her, but a roller skate on the field is. I don't know if this is just my mentality, but when kids have their toys out in the street, I actually think it's a sign of a nice place, because like where I grew up, you couldn't leave your things out in the street because someone would nick them, whereas when you move to like a better area, like people leave their bikes out on the field because they know that like, oh well, no one's gonna nick it, this is the sign of a nice place, in my opinion, that everyone watches out for each other. That's just my opinion though.
No, what
is the thing about the umbrella? You have an umbrella?
I thought it was raining before, and I walked out and it wasn't raining. I'm like, okay.
Again, she's very, very clever because she looks at the camera she has a pause, like, okay, what am I going to say here? So she knows she's on tape here. So she's not actually engaged in this conversation, given the truth. She's looking up at the camera, being like, okay, was like trying to just get like the validation from, you know, the people watching that, oh yeah, like as you do, you know, you get the umbrella. Like everything she does is premeditated, and it's so obvious to me. I don't know if it's because, you know, my living on YouTube is analysing people, especially on this channel. I can just see through this. Oh yeah, I got an umbrella out because I thought it was raining, and then when it wasn't, I just decided to use it as a lightsaber. I was like, bang, 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 there we go, boof. Oh yeah, I often do that as well. It's such a fun game when you just hit kids with an umbrella. I don't do that, okay. Allegedly. That kid had it coming, alright?
One of them or so, or one of them?
I wasn't even close. I was still inside the vestibule.
That's what they saw.
Maybe I did step out and I'm like, guys, go away.
Okay, so what is it, Susan? So first you got your umbrella out because you thought it was raining, and then apparently you might have did this next to them, and now apparently it's this. So what actually is it? Because in the space of a couple of seconds, we've went from nothing to this, and I think in another minute we're gonna go to fuck off, yeah. Right. The difference in the retelling of the story from, you know, Izzy, who's just speaking from emotion, trying to tell them everything, to this very calculated response is so clear. We then see Susan's response when she hears that AJ has actually died, because at this point she doesn't know that.
I understand.
Someone's dead.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So that's why I say it's important to be specific and honest about everything.
Now, let me know what you think of that response. Obviously, she doesn't really give much away. When I first seen this, I was trying to work out, like, when she, you know, obviously pulled the trigger, was she trying to hurt her, injure her, or was she actually trying to take the fatal shot? Because this leaves that up for question, in my opinion. I can't get past the fact that she, in her heart, wanted to, you know, end AJ's life, but very clearly I feel like that's the first time it's sunk in a little bit for her, what she's actually done here.
That's why I could think of is just get out of the situation, you know, I've never been in this situation before. This is all new and it's killing me.
Yeah, obviously, I would hope not. You know, you're just a serial, just shoot through the door murderer. I definitely think she's trying to play into, like, the old woman, like, vulnerable thing. Like, she's trying to kind of play this mask of, like, I was just so under pressure, like, I feared for my life. Whereas in reality, you're going to see later on how this actually was all calculated. You can tell my opinion, despite me thinking she's guilty even from this first interview, the police actually decide to send her home. Like, they don't arrest her. Well, they don't actually send her home. They send her to a hotel because she wouldn't be safe at home, obviously, with what she's done. And at this point we see like a compilation of people protesting, people basically saying this woman needs to be arrested. Like, days go by and she's not arrested. The senior detective on the case, who is still yet to arrest her, actually says, like, look, I get everyone's frustration. If someone had acted this way towards my children and then did this to, like, you know, the mother of my kids, I would be annoyed, but still, yet to arrest. I say it again. The doc then shows one of AJ's children talking about how they feel guilty for what happened, and it's honestly so heartbreaking.
He wasn't able to perform CPR on his mom. You know, no child should feel like, you know, I couldn't save someone, let alone their mom.
And this is so sad because, you know, none of these kids are responsible for what happened here, not in the slightest way, like not even 1% responsible. But the fact the kids feel this way shows like how emotionally intelligent they are and how much of a good job AJ did in raising these children. You can tell she really put, you know, her whole life and soul into making her kids good people. Now you are probably asking yourself, like, why haven't the police arrested her? Like, surely she should be arrested at least for this, never mind, you know, bloody sentenced or whatever. Well, the reason they haven't is because they're trying to debate whether it falls under the stand your ground law that is permitted in Florida. Now, for people that don't know what this is, I will read it out for you. A stand your ground law is a self-defense law that allows individuals to use reasonable and sometimes deadly force to defend themselves without attempting to retreat. If they are in a place they are legally allowed to be, these laws remove the duty to retreat in situations where someone is facing imminent danger or the threat of death or serious bodily harm. Well, they are common in many US states. They do not exist everywhere, and the specifics of the law vary by state. Now, this happened in Florida, and the specific stand your ground kind of, you know, rules within this in Florida include you were not the initial person to provoke the confrontation, and if the person was going to commit a forcible felony. And this is why they haven't arrested her, because, you know, on the ground surface, Susan can argue that her life was under threat before we actually get to see if the evidence points to that or not. And this is why so many protests have been being made because many people are saying, you know, Susan is being protected here. Like, she's the one that's committed a horrific crime. Why isn't she locked up? Would it be the same if the shoe was on the other foot and AJ shot Susan? Would AJ be treated the same way? Like, so many people are bringing up important, you know, discussions regarding this. And what I find even mental is on June the 5th, 2023, we see Susan go back to her house, and obviously the neighbours are fuming with this, so she has to bring, like, you know, protection from the police. After Susan's finished doing whatever she's doing in the house, she then drives off and doesn't even look at the neighbours. Like, I almost think this is some sort of like power play, like almost like, yeah, I've done this and now I'm just gonna drive off and I'm gonna get away with it. Like, the fact she didn't even talk to them or didn't even apologise or just anything at all, just any remorse for what she's done. She clearly doesn't feel any, because surely if she really felt scared and really felt this way, she would be pleading her innocence to, you know, the neighbours, or at least just having a conversation with them. But I definitely think she knows she's in the wrong. Now, a day later, on June the 6th, Susan actually gets brought back in for questioning, and it's important to note that she's very kind of open. Like, whenever the police want her to talk, she's straight in there. She's not kind of, you know, combating anything at all, really. She's kind of trying to play it off as if she's trying to help the police get to the bottom of this and, you know, clear her name. But this time the detectives aren't going to let her go so easily, and they're determined to get to the bottom of this in this chat with Susan. One of the first things they do is press her about using the N-word towards the children.
Is there any reason why anybody would have any video or anything of you saying, like, the N-word?
And if I did let it go, I'm sorry. I could have slipped out.
Hold on. Oh, I just slipped out. Oh, well, if I just let it go, you know, I've been holding on to that one. You know, usually I just write it down, but I just had to say it this time. What? I just slipped out. Oh, did it? Oh, well, if it just slipped out, that's all right then, love. Sorry. Would hate to think that you meant to say it. That's such a casual thing. Again, no remorse. No, God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so hard. Like, can't believe I'd say that. She doesn't feel sorry for saying these things. She just plays it off as if it's not that big of a thing. It just slipped out is like an excuse if you're talking about a TV show and you give away the ending or something. That's just, oh, sorry, it just slipped out. Not saying bloody that.
I was always taught the N-word meant that you were just being unlawful, you know, dirty, generally not being pleasant.
Now, this is arguably, again, one of the most crucial things that she says, because this, again, just reveals how, you know, she feels about black people to her core. You know, like, she really, like, that's what her definition of that word is. That shows how much she just kind of, you know, looks down on, you know, people that are black and just, you know, she even used the word dirty. This woman is just, like, rotten to her core, in my opinion. Now, all these things that she's saying that she doesn't realise are red flags to the police, she's playing it off as if she's kind of, yeah, that's just, you know, what I thought, I've grew up with this way, whatever. All of these things are feeding into the police finding out that she did this out of hatred rather than out of fear. And again, that is the one thing they need to determine here, which is so crucial to our sentencing. The cops then press her on how long AJ was bashing on her door. Now, in the first interview, she couldn't give them an exact answer. She was like, maybe seconds, maybe minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Like, she said she couldn't recall how long it was. And that was very strategic, which you will see why she did that. Now, in this interview, she knows exactly how long it was. She says, oh, I think it was like 20 to 30 seconds, somewhere in between that, which is like a lot shorter and a lot more compact of a time than she previously mentioned. It was like a 10-minute time frame before. Now it's down to like, what, 5-10 seconds? In the space of a couple of days. Like, she's starting to change her story to fit her narrative. She then also says that it was around 2 to 5 minutes from when AJ like last knocked on the door to when she eventually shot. And again, this shows that there was definitely time to think here. When she initially called 911, she played it out as if it was like a spur of the moment thing. She did it out of fear. Whereas 2 to 5 minutes, that is a hell of a lot of time to think. You know, like, if you literally had to time yourself right now for 5 minutes and just sit there, that would be an incredibly, like, long amount of time. You can think a lot of thoughts in that time, okay? Think a lot of thoughts? Yeah, that's the good analysation, that cub. Right, give yourself a pat on the back for that one. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, you can think logically within that time. the time frame of thinking emotionally is seconds, you know, and then you can snap out of it and be like, okay, so what happens if I do this? How would this? That is what 2 to 5 minutes gives you. Now, one of the most interesting parts of this specific conversation is when the police ask Susan, like, if we looked at your search history, would we find anything to do with the stand your ground law? Now, Susan kind of plays this off again the way she does, very casually saying, oh, like several years ago I searched it because of something I seen on the news. Like, so she can't remember like something from a couple of days ago, but she can remember a specific thing on the news several years ago. This woman, man, honestly. But the way the police are asking her, they're basically saying, look, we know what's on your search history. We just want you to confirm it. So she eventually admits when she did actually look at the stand your ground law.
Kind of research on your internet history that would show that you've done research on like self-defense.
Why does she always do this though? It's like, well, love, only you would know. You're looking at us as if, like, we're the dickhead. No, surely you should know what's on your search history.
That was years ago?
Yeah, that was years ago, thanks.
So nothing recent that would be on, like, your internet browser history?
I looked at it today. They had it up on Facebook.
Well,
such a bullshitter, man. Oh, actually, I looked at it today. Actually, I didn't. Like, it was on Facebook. There was an advert for it. People, you know, advertising shoot your neighbours. I just clicked on it just out of pure curiosity, if anything. Like, they're going to know how you got to that. It says on your search history how you got to that, whether you Googled it, whether, you know, it was a tracking link from Facebook taking you to an external website. They're going to know. And at this point is where everything starts to unravel and she loses sight of her original story that she originally, you know, tried to stick to.
I know what you're thinking. Did I look up the laws so I could do something? No.
And in that first interview, you had even said to the kids, you know what, go get your mom.
No, I didn't.
Now that's so interesting because clearly she's trying to, you know, rally these kids up, get these kids pissed off so that, you know, they tell their mum and their mum gets pissed off. So then it's almost like the mum is coming over as the threat. That's what she's been trying to do for so long. Like, she's trying to rile these people up so that she has an excuse to hurt them. And the police have worked it out that basically her taking the iPad from the kid was her kind of, you know, a last resort thing to really get the attention of AJ to come over to her house. Like, really, you know, drive them to the level where they're so angry that they just want this to stop. And she used this anger as a way of, you know, portraying it as self-defense to eventually, you know, shoot AJ. And this is why I say, although this woman, you know, I don't want to call her clever or anything like this, but I will say she's very strategic. She knew what she was doing this entire time. This wasn't just a spur of the moment thing. And it's so clear. Like, if you watch this like 2 or 3 times, you see when it starts, this was all part of her plan. The detectives even try to like understand like how she's feeling about it now. They say to her like, do you feel bad about what's happened? She says, yes, of course I do. Very like monotone though, like she's not like showing any emotion when she says it. She even goes on to say like, oh, I've been on Facebook and I've read what people have writ, and you know, it makes me feel bad because people are getting the story wrong. Like, I didn't do it this way, this happened. Like, she's talking about the situation in terms of the facts rather than the outcome of these children losing their mother. And the cop brings this up. He says, the only thing that I think of when I see this situation is that these 4 children no longer have a mother. And you see on her face, she pauses and she kind of goes, this is what I should have been saying, like this is the route I should have went down. You see that her story just unravels and she actually seems like a really cold person, which is the opposite of what she wants to seem.
I'm not taking away how you were treated, but those are children nonetheless, right? And now they don't have a mother to go home to.
It's even just, there's no emotion on her face. Like, imagine someone saying that to you, that you've done that to a family. Like, you would feel distraught. Even if you did feel like you were in the right, you would still feel distraught for the family because you'd have a bit of empathy. But she has none. Like, nothing. Like, she doesn't even flinch here. She just stops talking because she knows that she's been disproved here. The detectives then tell her that they're charging her with manslaughter. They then leave the room and say they need to do paperwork, but they very cleverly, like, leave her a notepad and a pen and say to her, look, if you want to write anything to the children of AJ, like, this is your chance. Like, we can't let you see them, but you can write a letter to them. And obviously, this is another test that they're going to use later on to find out if she's remorseful for what she's done. Like, does does she feel any actual empathy for this situation? And straight away, she ends up like writing, like without any hesitation, which again, I know we're overanalyzing everything, but I feel like I would have to think about what I was going to say here. She literally has a drink, picks it up and just starts writing. Like, how you haven't had enough time to think about, you know, like an emotional thing to say. You're just writing very, very coldly just what you think they want to hear. And when the cops come back into the room and they tell her, like, look, you have to come with us now, we're going to put the handcuffs on you, this is the first time she's uncooperative. Also, drop a like on this video if you haven't already, because it just helps the channel out, and, you know, it takes 2 seconds, so thanks.
Okay, so you're gonna go with this deputy.
No, I'm not.
You're gonna be booked in.
No, I'm not. I'm not going. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Susan, put yourself in our position. There's no choice in this.
You can't do this. Oh, sorry. Right, that's our fault. You know what, love? If you can't do it, right, just go out. Right, you take yourself home, love. All right? Sorry for putting you through this. We didn't realise you couldn't do it. Right, can we reschedule? We'll do it for tomorrow. Better time for you. Is that all right, love? Great, right. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early. Right, when you can do it. See you later. I can't fucking do it. You will bloody do it, love. Absolute twat. I find this reaction so interesting because she didn't react like this when she found out that she'd killed AJ. Like, this is the first time we actually see her for who she is rather than this mask, and it's because it hasn't worked. They've charged her with manslaughter, so she doesn't really need to have this defense anymore. Like, now she's just acting on emotion. Now she's just kind of like standing her ground and being like, no, this is her standing her ground, not before. And again, it just shows how much this woman will do anything to get her own way. Like, this is the enforcement, sheriffs telling her that she needs to do this. She got to get out of this. And in her mind, she still thinks that she can find a way around it. She still thinks that she, you know, is in charge here, and it's mental. After she eventually cooperates, they then take her away, and one of the officers comes back in to read the letter that she wrote for AJ's children.
I am so sorry for your loss. I never meant to kill your mother. I shot out of fear.
And that right there is probably the storyline she's repeated and repeated and repeated in her own brain. That's why she was able to write it out so quickly, because she thinks if she just sticks to this story, she'll be fine, and she just doesn't swear from this story. She just sticks to the I was scared, I didn't mean to do it. In that letter, there's no, you know, real emotion poured into it. I didn't even need to hear what was on that piece of paper. I could tell from the way that she wrote it down that there wasn't going to be any emotion. It was far too quick the way she wrote it. And it's scary, because this is a woman who just has no empathy for anyone, and even though her actions have ruined people's lives and ended people's lives, she still doesn't feel any guilt for it. And this is a human being, you know, like, this is, like, I know it's obvious me saying that, but it's mental that these people actually do exist, and there is people that just walk around that don't feel any guilt for doing the worst of the worst things to people. We then get to witness the family of AJ getting told that Susan has finally been arrested, and, you know, all the protests and everything they did wasn't in vain. We also get to see the funeral that they held for AJ, and there's one reading from it that I do want to play, because it made me break down in tears when I listened to it for the first time, because honestly it's just so, you know, powerful.
Don't say mama wouldn't have died if it wasn't for me. No, mama chose to stand up for you. She chose you over her.
That is such a nice message for the kids to hear, because it just shows that their mother was so strong, and the reason why she marched over there in the first place was because that's the right thing to do. When someone treats one of your family members or someone you love badly, you stand up for them. And I know nothing good can, you know, obviously come from this situation, but if there is anything that these kids can take from this, it's that they should live their life the exact same way, of standing up for what they believe in and not being bullied by people who are just nasty and people who just don't have empathy for people. Their mother literally stood up to someone like that because she was such a great mother, and she wouldn't let people pick on her kids. And the more you kind of watch this documentary, the more you can't believe that this woman wasn't arrested straight away. We then get to see some stats regarding the Stand Your Ground law. Stand Your Ground laws have been linked to an 8% to 11% increase in homicide rates, or roughly 700 additional deaths each year. Research has found huge racial disparities, with white Americans much more likely to find success with self-defense claims, particularly when they kill black people. Now, that is something I mentioned earlier. In this case, if this was the other way around, would AJ have been treated with the same, I guess, kind of kindness this from the police force that Susan was. Obviously, we'll never know, but chances stay, possibly not. And after this, the credits roll and we get to see clips from the actual court case. Like, they had cameras inside of the court, which is mental again. We see all the people that, you know, arrived on the scene, like the officers. We get, like, you know, notes from the neighbours. We get just everyone who was involved in this situation or knows anything about this just taking the stand and giving their piece. And then we get to see the footage of Susan getting sentenced for manslaughter, and she will face 25 years in prison for it.
The jury has found you guilty of manslaughter. Thank you and good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge. May we be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Like, even her reaction there still, after she's had time to process this, her reaction was just, Still, she doesn't feel any guilt for this. Still, she feels like she should be in the clear. Still, she feels like no empathy towards the family that, you know, she's made AJ leave behind. And like I've said a couple of times in this video, the main thing that the jury found is that she shot AJ out of hatred more than fear, which is, you know, what was so crucial to her sentencing and made sure that the stand your ground law couldn't be applied here. And this is how the documentary ends, and rarely have I ever seen a documentary that is so intense and so gripping. Like, I couldn't look away from my screen for 1 second whilst watching this. It just so very clearly, like, exposes the flaws within the legal system, especially in Florida. I don't think I will ever forget this documentary. Like, this is so powerful, and hopefully it leads to a huge change. Like I've said, this actually was a documentary before Netflix bought it, but now Netflix has bought it and have the rights to it. It can just go to their huge viewer base, and now it can be talked about forever. Like I saw yesterday, it's actually #1 on Netflix, which is so great, because just getting as much eyeballs on this as possible is what, you know, the world needs, in my opinion. That's why I'm making a video on it. And I do want to say a huge shout out again to Geeta Gandbhir, who was the original creator, because, you know, they were the person that really drove this documentary to becoming a thing and getting this story kind of read out to the entire world. And I also just want to read out the names of AJ's kids and just kind of dedicate this video to, you know, making sure that they're okay as well. Isaac, Israel, Africa, and Titus. So I just hope, you know, the very best for them, because this situation is, you know, very recent. It's happened in the last few years, so they'll clearly still be children. I just hope that they grow up with the most amount of support possible, because, you know, they deserve to have a great life, because that's what their mother would have wanted for them. And yeah, on that note, Donuts, I am going to end this video. Apologies if this was, you know, a more you know, hard-hitting one. I do like to cover situations like this from time to time, as I am really interested by them. And yeah, we have quite a niche of these videos now. We recently covered the catfish video, which is really disturbing, that Netflix released a documentary on. So if you want to go and watch that video, go over there. If you want a little bit of a lighter watch, there's a video here. I will see you over there in either one of these videos, Donuts. Thank you very much for watching this. As always, I really appreciate it. See you in the next one.